How do you learn your tones? Listen. When you go and speak to the Chinese person, it's like it's like a blast, right? How to learn to read and write and listen, and now everything is at your fingertips.
So what struggle or what difficulty I faced is because many Chinese people, they don't have very good English.
Of doing something every day. Consistency is what it takes. What is fluency? First tell me that.
It will definitely help, teacher as well as students, right?
Absolutely. The class becomes so much more productive.
So Lǎoshī, now if someone who is, I want a crash course of 1 month. I do come across many students who have actually learned. But when I say or ask them a simple sentence, then they say, oh, in Duolingo, I have reached this much streak.
There's no shortcut to this, sadly. Or maybe even 6 months of Chinese, and then you start, out of all my students, the tones that have really literally killed them.
So how long does it take to learn Mandarin? Is Mandarin the hardest language in the world? Do you really need a Chinese speaker to learn this language? Today we are going to explore the nuances of Mandarin language, bust some common myths, understand some key facts, share some practical tips, and believe me, some answers might surprise you. Hi everyone, 大家好. I'm Sonia, founder and instructor at Namaste Mandarin. Today I'm joined by someone who has lived the language, Zhāng Lǎoshī. She is a dedicated Chinese language expert with more than 30 years of experience in this field. She holds an advanced research certificate from People's University of China, Masters in Chinese Language and Literature from JNU. She is an Indian by origin, married to a native Chinese, and has lived in China for more than 28 years. She brings a rare blend of linguistic and cultural insight. 谢谢老师 for joining me today.
谢谢你 Sonia， 太夸奖了，真的感谢这次的机会。I'm really 观众们大家好。So really happy to be here on this podcast with Namaste Mandarin's Sonia. I really thank you so much for this opportunity. And yes, let's get in and then burst some myths about learning the language, which they say is the toughest language in the world.
Right. I too am very, very excited to, for this conversation. So before we begin, for our learners, if you are planning to learn this language, or for our viewers, if you are planning to learn this language or have already started the language, stay till the end because we are going to share some practical tips which will enhance your learning journey.
加油!
So with that, Lǎoshī, very first question to you, and we can, always discuss it. So how much time does it take to become fluent in Mandarin language?
Okay, so this is a very, it depends actually on the learner. Let's be very clear on this. It's just like any other, if you take it as a subject, it's like any other subject, right? Some people have a natural and easy flair for the language, and some will have to put in a little bit of effort, okay? So, but 总的来说, generally speaking, I would suggest if you want to have the basics, if you really want to crack the basics, I suggest at least a minimum of 120 hours. In hours, if you speak about hours, it's going to be 120 hours of, good practice. So it all depends on the practice. It all depends on the student. But I would suggest if you want to go to China and speak the basics, if you want to go out, buy stuff, if you want to go to a restaurant and order, then I would suggest at least 120 hours of minimum learning. 你说?
Yeah, so Lǎoshī, so as you said, it depends on learner. So I do believe it's very subjective.
Yes.
Okay, and there is no, set number of hours that, so I can't say that, I finished this and now I have learned entire language. That's not possible because I believe language is very dynamic and you keep on learning. But again, it depends on what is your requirement. If your requirement is, yes, I just want to buy a few things or interact with the taxi driver or, go to a restaurant and, place an order, then yes, I think 120 hours is something which is like, So
like I again told you, it depends 120 hours of what are you learning and how much are you grasping of those 120 hours is very important, right? See, on any language, the base or the building block you can't escape the vocabulary, right? So if you learn something, you'll have to put it in practice as much as possible, right? So that is the first thing that we have to do. But like I said, 120 hours again. 120 hours of very dedicated and, purposeful learning. What do you mean by purposeful learning? Like you have a goal, right? I need to be able to go to China. I need to be able to talk to the taxi driver, like you said. Or if I want to go and have a shopping experience, then I need to go and bargain. Or if I'm going to go to a restaurant and I want to order in Chinese, right? Or if you're a person living in China, you just want to talk to your maid and get your everyday, things done. Then we need to sort out those vocabularies, and then we have to have a very set practice of 120 hours. But I'm just giving you a broad framework. I have had students like of all ages. Some have really stumped me by learning the basics in like a month, right? And the thing is, they could not only speak out the words, they had a very good grasping power. They also had an amazing hearing ability. Listening is what literally is most important in learning anything. Before you speak, we listen, whether it's music or whether it's Chinese, because Chinese is a tonal language, right? Without knowing the tones, it's going to be a very difficult task for you. So this is the first step, I would say. If you want to have an answer, yes, 120 hours, then I suggest as a student, come to us, come to Namaste Mandarin, and then take up the challenge. I'm challenging you today that if you want to crack the basics, I will help you. We will help you in 120 hours, depending on your requirement. It's tailor-made. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, Lǎoshī. So Lǎoshī, this brings me to your next question. As you said, when you say to 120 hours, we define 120 hours of classes, but then there is also an effort which has to come from the student.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So many students or many learners, they believe, okay, so this is my number of classes I am doing, and I don't do anything beyond my classes, and I should become fluent or I should achieve my goal. But that's not required. That's not possible. Yeah. So
Yes.
what do you think, how much time a student has to spend outside the class to, achieve his or her goal?
Yes, because if you really want true progress, your homework goals are very important. So after the class, I would at least suggest, if you are a student, okay, just learning to achieve something in Chinese, have an added feather in your cap, you want to have a certificate, then that's a different thing. Then you really need to be very serious and put in like an hour every day, remembering all the words. If you don't want to do the characters, it's fine. At least the words along with the pinyin, which is the alphabet system, and the tones. This has to be like every day. Like every day you're doing any other subject, this has to be a part and parcel of your everyday life. You need to put in that 1 hour. But again, if you're a very busy, a business person, or you are a person who travels to China often, or you have something to do with Chinese every day, then I would at least suggest start with a 15-minute. 15 minutes, of doing something every day. Consistency is what it takes to learn Chinese, right? It's not hard. If you put it in, I have many students who are absolutely amazing. See, there are people who've lived in China for 15 years. I've lived there for 28 years in China, and I've like Sonia introduced. But the thing is, how many people actually speak Chinese just by living in China? Many people, they don't, because they don't form a social circle with Chinese friends, right? But those of them who have Chinese friends, yes, day in and day out, they listen to Chinese. So listening is what is number one. When you start listening more, you start comprehending then, and then you start learning, right? So I suggest, again, if you have native friends whom you can use your Chinese, that's well and good. But otherwise, at least have 15 minutes every day after class, and every day basis. If you're able to just repeat, and that's what we call it as 复习. 复习. So 你一定要每天复习. Every day, put up the good habit of doing something, repeatedly, and it's successful. Yeah.
Yes. So very rightly said, Lǎoshī. Yes, we need to, it again depends whether you want to put 15 minutes or you put 1 hour. It's like whatever you have learned in a class, before you come for a next class, you should revise and, know the words or grammar points, whatever you have learned. It will definitely help teacher as well as students, right?
Absolutely. The class becomes so much more productive. There are two words in Chinese. One is called 复习, one is 预习. So 复习 is something that you read what you've already done. That is a revision. And 预习 is nothing but, reading ahead.
Yes,
if you have that capacity, reading ahead what we're going to do in class.
Right.
So these two are very important. Yes.
Yeah. So I remember last year when I was in Shanghai, 我在学校的时候 I was very excited because I love this language and I always was very excited what's coming in the next chapter. So I used to go through the vocabulary before teacher teaches, and that really helps you. And yes, that motivation again has to come from a student as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
So Lǎoshī, I think you already mentioned as a beginner, so it's like very many people get confused regarding this. When I tell them, or when they come for inquiries, they say we want to learn Mandarin, and I say level 1 we focus on the spoken part, not on the reading and writing part.
Yeah,
it's very difficult. Some people, if they don't have any idea about Mandarin language, they don't understand why is this concept.
Yeah.
Because the language, this language is the spoken part is completely different from reading and writing part. So I believe as a beginner, it becomes very difficult if you start both together, especially if you're not a student, if you're a working professional or if you're a business person. So what is your approach on this as a beginner? Does it help if we focus only on the spoken part, and then later if someone is pursuing, and then we can go with the reading and writing part as well?
See, only the speaking part, yes. If you are living in China, it becomes much easier to learn because hundreds of Indians I've seen who speak absolutely flawless Cantonese. If you're living in Guangdong, Shanghainese, wherever they are, they manage to, without learning how to read or write, just pick up. Why? Because they live in that environment. So they acquire the language instead of learning. They do it like a kid. They keep hearing every day, every day in, day out. They hear the word, for example, titi, right? Titi che. So that's something like what we have in India, like the Uber or Ola, right? So titi. So when every day I hear titi tacha, so I know it. So titi tacha. I don't have to go and think what it is. I just learn it straight, titi tacha, without any translation in my brain. I learn the word titi tacha. Okay, a car comes in, I get it. It's very visual. So there are, I have a student in Shanghai who lives in Shanghai. He's a very visual person. How does he learn? For example, he just takes this bottle, right? And then he'll write on top things, right? So every time, these are the everyday necessities that is around him. So on those, he writes the character, or if not the character, the pinyin, along with the tones. So every time he sees that, he says pins. Okay, if he sees his mobile, he says as 手机. So this is amazing. This is just, each student has their own way of, learning. And I feel a visual student, right, who responds more to this. So this is a very good habit. But if you don't have the opportunity, if you're not staying in China, then it's going to be very difficult to directly speak. So this is because I have learned Chinese in India, okay, in JNU. And we learned to read, write, and speak. Right? So that's the approach, and that is why it is difficult, and it takes more time, right? So at least if you want to be really fluent, like of course I've been living there for 28-30 years, and also my husband, my family is Chinese, but still, even without all these, if you really want to learn, you'll have to put in at least 2,200 hours if you want to be really fluent in any language. It's not just Chinese. It is already a proven thing that you can Google it, or you can go to any expert. They have this thing. If you really want to be fluent, what is fluency? First, tell me that.
Yeah.
You have to be, without any confusion, without any grammatical error, you're able to, make the other person understand what you want, right? And that's like fluency, basically. Or you're able to, understand what the other person is trying to convey to you. Because when I went to China in 95, 96, I have already learned Chinese for 4 years, 5 years then. I did my MA and then went. But I have learned man for door. So when I went to China, when I went to Beijing, and they have this Erhua.
Yeah.
So the first time I said, 我们在西马尔见, I'm like, mar? What's mar? And I don't know this word. So I'm just getting my first dose of Beijing, accent,
Wow.
right? And this is it. So even if you learn, so hard, when you go and speak to the Chinese person, it's like it's
yes.
like a blast, right?
Yes,
So I always advocate first, whatever you learn, you also try to hear. So the hearing is very important.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So Lǎoshī, so do you agree that as a beginner we should start with the spoken, or you?
Sorry, I would suggest we have to see, how do you just learn the spoken?
With pinyin.
Yeah, that is it. That's what I'm saying. You have to learn. Did you mean the character? I'm sorry about it.
I was just
No, you
saying
don't
that
need to learn the character at all. You
Yes.
need to absolutely learn the pinyin. Without the
Yes.
pinyin, you will not be able to have any, building block for your learning journey.
Right.
So pinyin and tones are two things, the pillars of which you'll have to learn, begin your journey with.
Yeah, right. So the Chinese characters, if someone is very much interested, and as I said, if they're pursuing for further levels and going, then they can pick up. But as a beginner, it becomes very difficult, for a learner to start with the both.
There are two views on this. Like I would say, because today nobody needs to write Chinese, they just need to type Chinese, right? So you need to recognize the characters, which becomes really easy after a couple of times. Because why? Because my, right? If your tones are not right, let's just say warm my and warm my. I'm selling instead of buying, I'm buying instead of selling. But as long as I can see the character, I know it's my or my.
Yes.
So if the person is interested, when you have a very less number of vocabulary, you start learning to at least recognize the characters instead of learning to write. That is a good idea to do. But then absolutely, it only depends. For people who are really busy, that's not possible. It's not practical also to learn like thousands of characters. Yeah.
Yes, right. So Lǎoshī, I think that's what I was wanted to ask, as you said, is like, which every learner struggles. They start learning, if they start speaking also, right? So because they are beginner and they learn, let's say, few basic R's, and then they go to China, they start speaking. But the moment they hear Chinese person, it's like, very difficult for this, because they speak very fast.
Exactly.
And also, there are so many colloquial things to the language, which is like, it's sometimes not possible also to teach as a part of a book, right? So because basics we have to learn. So what is your, practical tip to, start at least understanding Chinese people when they speak?
See, for this, what we need to do is every book that we do has a CD attached to it. In those years when we had a CD and everything. So we have a native speaker who's recorded the entire thing.
Yes.
But hardly, unless you're a student of a university, right? Or you spend every day like 4 or 5 hours. We have like lingua phone classes wherein we have to hear, right? You must have done it in Shanghai also.
Yes.
So what we do, we hear the teacher speak and then we just read it. So we're not at all training our ears. It's all about the eyes and the mouth for us in class. But when do we really hear? Luckily for us, we have a lot of YouTube channels, a lot of, the same thing for a HSK1. Ask them after every class, they should make sure that they are hearing the same that they've learned in class.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And if they are more interested, we can teach them. For example, how would it be if it was a Cantonese person speaking the same word? That would come after many, many, many classes. Right? So it depends on where they want to go. But mostly, standard dialect Mandarin, however fast they speak, is going to sound the same. It is all depending on the tones. If your tones are right, if you learn your tones, and how do you learn your tones? Listen, then imitate the tones.
Repeat.
Repeat. That's it. Yeah.
Yes. I too agree, Lǎoshī, that listening is very, very important, because again, the listening is something which learner has to do by himself or herself. Because in the class, it's because that's a thing which we have to do it at least 2-3 times to get used to.
Right.
Because in the class, we have very set number of hours, right?
Yes.
So we can't do that, and that is what is suggested. As you said, each book comes with a CD, that particular what we have learned the words. Apart from that, when you have a good number of vocabulary or good set of vocabulary, you can always listen to some vlogs or something which is as per your level.
Yes,
That's
yes,
something
that
which
is very important.
Yeah.
And when you hear, it's going to be overwhelming the first time. It's going to just fly above your head, but we have to keep hearing the same thing again and again, 4 or 5 times, keep repeating, and then start just identifying the words, only the words that you've learned already.
Yes.
Okay, don't think of every word I need to understand, and don't give that kind of a pressure. For example, today we just want to learn a word, for example, 起床, right? So if I'm going to hear a vlog about Chinese speakers talking about their daily routine, my thing is going to be, how many times do they say 起床 in this paragraph? How many times can I hear that? So that's how you train your ear.
Yes, true, Lǎoshī. Yeah, so they have to focus on what is being learned.
Yes.
So many people, Lǎoshī, they are very, very, impatient, I would say, because the moment they join the class, they think, okay, they should be able to speak and understand immediately. That is something which is not possible.
It is possible if they're going to put in that kind of impatient effort also there, right? If you want to be good, yes, I challenge you. You come to Namaste Mandarin, we challenge you. If you're going to do all the tasks that we tell you, right, then you will. For example, some of my students, I would later on, I'll share videos. So what do? So there's this little 2-year-old kid, okay? He's like my cousin's son. Every time he calls me, I make sure that he learns a couple of sentences in Chinese. So I will just, he loves horses. So I'll show him this being a horse here. I will tell him, ma. So I'll say, if you want me to show you the horse, tell me ma. So now the kid knows ma very well. So, but then he's also put the effort. He keeps hearing. Yeah. So he keeps hearing, he keeps telling it out. He keeps hearing, he keeps telling it out. If the student, I'm challenging even an 80-year-old, right? Or a 6-year-old. As long as they put in the effort, they will be able to speak the basics in 3 to 6 months. This is a challenge that I always give to all my students.
Right. Okay, yes. So Lǎoshī, another question which many people are confused with or they think is it, as a beginner when you are learning, is it better to learn from a Chinese native or someone who can speak the common language? What is your thoughts on that?
I myself have been blessed to have amazing teachers who are all Indians. And I always feel that as an Indian, right, we would know what are the difficulties that we faced while learning the language. Yeah. So we'll be able to navigate and guide the students better, right? Because I have learned it, I have found these difficulties. I am a Tamil per se. So I know when I speak Hindi, I don't have the k, g, th. These aspirated sounds like k, th. It's very difficult for me. So I know how to teach, my fellow students. Like, it doesn't matter which country you're from, as long as you have you don't have to have a native teacher for the beginner, unless the native teacher knows your language very well and also understands the difficulties as a foreigner. Right. So this is what I feel. I feel a native teacher is okay after you've learned the basics.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It's true. Yes, even I feel the same, Lǎoshī, because I also learned when I was in Shanghai. So what struggle or what difficulty I faced is because many Chinese people, they don't have very good English, and there are so many words which you need someone to really explain the usage of those words. Because if you look at the English translation, it's the same. Let's say the word 认识 or 知道, both has to know. Right?
Yes,
but
absolutely.
When it comes to use, it's a different how to use.
Yes, they'll not be able to tell you the difference. Exactly.
That's what I struggle, because when I was in university, my teacher, he never spoke a single word of English. And I mean, it's like I should, I used to admire them, because with those speaking English, some words they were able to explain us, what is this and how to use it, which scenario, with full, using Chinese. That is their, capability, I would say.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a patience, then you become very impatient. Why?
No, it's not just being impatient. It's like that. You feel like you're ready to give up. It's a real fight, because you have. Because why do they say that Chinese is the toughest language? Let's come to that. Chinese grammar is actually easy. It's not the grammar at all that makes it difficult. It's only the tone, the tonal language. What is the tonal language? If you change the tone, the meaning changes. It is so difficult. It's like doing your Carnatic music riyaz or a Hindustani classical riyaz.
Yeah.
That is what that's what I used to do.
Right.
So tone practice is so important. Imagine like you'll have to sing a song instead of, that's what we used to feel like. Why do I have to say pa, 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 right? Every day in, day out. So apart from all those challenges, we have the challenge of writing the characters. Every character has so many different strokes and they have stroke orders, right? So it is quite intimidating, a language, if you don't have the right guide, when you're learning the beginning. As a beginner, you need to find the right teacher, which is definitely, I would say, like without no, disrespect to the Chinese themselves, but then you need to be really a professional who's already learned the language to be able to, teach a beginner.
Yes. So truly, understand that as a beginner, it's always, preferred to learn it from someone who speak your common language, and then maybe later you can, once you have a hang of the language, you can start interacting with the natives and start improving your the spoken part.
Yes. Even like after 28 years, I wouldn't say that oh, I'm I know everything in Chinese. Nobody can say that. So obviously you will be 活到老学到老. There's a proverb, it's never ending. It's a C. So obviously it'll be very good after a year. I would suggest after, say, like you have your basic vocabulary, you've learned 1 year of Chinese, or maybe even 6 months of Chinese, and then you start, interacting with the locals. Then you won't feel so intimidated. Yeah.
Correct. So Lǎoshī, as we already discussed about the hardest part of language is the tones.
Yes, absolutely.
And many students, including me, find it very difficult to, master the tones. So what is your advice on that? And many people, Lǎoshī, this another thing is, they don't pay attention to the tones.
Yes.
They just, because I can understand from their point of view as well, because they are just sometimes struggling with the words itself to just pronounce the word. Some of the pronunciations are also very different from English. So they don't pay they're just very flat. We will read the sentences.
Yeah. So, see, this is like, how do you say? This is a fight that's been going on. A lot of my friends who've lived with me in China, they're like, can't they just use their common sense? I'm coming into the shop to buy fruits. Why would I want to buy a dog? So it's like that. But the thing is, 果 狗, right? 果 狗. So she wants to buy a 苹果. Instead, you say 苹果. So yeah, I know, but then it's a very funny situation. But that's the way it is. That's the way Chinese is, and a lot of other tonal languages. If you say it in the wrong tone, it's going to create many funny situations, which I think every one of us learning Chinese has faced. Like, I always used to keep saying 亲吻, 亲吻. And all my friends would say, do you want me to kiss you, or are you going to ask me something? So kiss and ask is absolutely the same. When you hear it's one, right? One. It's all WEN, but each of it is going to be different. So one. Right? So when I say, instead of please, I need to ask you something, I'm going to say, please, I'm going to kiss you, which is such a funny situation. Yeah.
So how much time a person should spend on tones initially? What do you think?
5 minutes every day.
Okay.
So I used to spend around like 20 to 30 minutes a day when I started learning Chinese, and I've really devised a very, amazing formula and a system to teach the tones. And I would really be willing to share with all our students in Namaste Mandarin. If they really want to crack the tones, let them come, and then we'll give them a nice tone practice. The thing is, how many tones? There are many tones in different dialects of Chinese. Mandarin has 4 tones, and we all know that. Along with that, there's a neutral tone. So we start actually saying, that's what I say. For example, if you're not started learning Chinese yet, but you want to master the tones, then we just today, the entire day, we try and speak English or your Hindi or any other your own language in that tone. For example, let's do a small thing, okay? Hi, Sonia.
Yeah.
Reply.
Hello, Lǎoshī.
How are you today?
I am doing good.
Very nice to hear. You got it?
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's what we do. So till we get that first tone right, we don't talk any other tone. We just talk this, and then we can give them really, good ways to remember. To each his own. But I used to think of the first tone as a robotic tone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So and then the combination of tones are very important. So yeah.
Yes. So that's also another thing, when the tones get combined, the little bit of it changes.
Yes, there are many tone rules that have to be followed, but you cannot just learn, the tone rules in a day. It's going to be consistently, practice for many rigorous practice for many months if you want to be perfect.
Right.
But if you just want to get by and do it, I mean, we will also give you other ways to do it. But at least make sure that you're pronouncing it right. If your tones are not correct, at least make sure that you're pronouncing it right. That's what I say. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And Lǎoshī, I mean, what do you think is the way to practice? I mean, it's like definitely when they start learning in the book and all, they have this tone, the practice of the words and also. Is there any other way? I think what is more, so what I mean to say is like where they can also, sometimes when they are not in a class, let's say they are practicing at home and all. So how they rectify whether they are speaking, are there any tools which they can use to do that?
Like for example, exactly what I'm saying. So if you're learning a new word, right? If you're learning it from the book, let's say you're having an HSK book, then you have a recording of a native speaker. So what do? Or you can ask the class teacher to send you a recording of that so that they hear it. Right. And this is very important. I keep telling my students, for example, you're learning the second and first combination, second tone and first tone, guotia, right? So guotia. So how do you say it? You first hear the native speaker or your teacher, and then you record your own.
Yeah.
And see the difference. It is going to be a little difficult, but then if you put in this kind of effort just for 1 month, right? Just for 1 month, you're gonna see that you're going to make a sea of change.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I think this is something, tones, I think once they begin, they have to start learning it, understand the difference, and it's like an everyday practice. They will keep on, learning as and when whatever the new words they are learning. So they have to do the listening part and repeat it. So that's
yes, absolutely. There's no shortcut to this, sadly. Yes.
Okay. So Lǎoshī, I think other thing which is nowadays like very common is learning it, because nowadays there are a lot of resources available.
Yes.
And and I do come across many students who have actually learned, let's say, basics by using these resources and all.
Yeah.
So what is your thought on this? Like some apps, right? So Duolingo.
Duolingo is really good. They have the latest, nice and fun methods. It's not just a traditional way wherein, it's visual. It's like you have gaming mode and different things. Like I think it's a nice way to learn the basics or to get more practice of what you've learned on Duolingo. Yes, or other apps like that. But I do not think, unless you have a flair for the language and you're brilliant in it, well, without a teacher, it's still going to be a little difficult. Yes.
Even I feel that, because I have got few students who have learned Duolingo. So they come and they inquire that, okay, we have learned online, we have done through Duolingo and other apps. But when I say or ask them a simple sentence, then they say, oh, in Duolingo I have reached this much streaks, right? Or I have never gone through that app as actually, but I have reached this stage or something like. But when I ask them a simple sentence, I'll say they'll not understand.
See, exactly. So when you learn, it's very important, like, to have a goal, like I said. So what are you aiming at? Right? What are you aiming at? Are you just aiming to, like, for example, for me, I learned Korean through Korean dramas. I was a crazy fan. I'm still a great fan of K-dramas, and then that's the reason. But then after hearing a lot, right, I could find out the words. Then I started having a native teacher, and then that's how then I learned to read and write. So just by without a guide, in anything, it's going to be, I'm not saying that you can't do it.
Yeah.
You can. But again, your goal, you have to keep your goal in mind. I can't just read about the planets, and I can't even go to a, sabzi mandi and buy vegetables, right? So it depends on what you really want to learn and what is a goal. Your ultimate goal, is it going to be able to speak fluently to Chinese people on any matter, right? Or on just like, are you just going to go hang out with them? It depends on that, actually, I feel.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Right. So, but what I believe is, yes, you can learn the very basic words and basic sentence structure, but without knowing the simple grammar point, like how to form the sentence, we can just kind of we just mug up the words or mug up the sentences, and whether it's really serving your purpose. If you're learning for the sake of fun or having some information, then it helps. But if your aim is to speak and to start speaking with the Chinese people, or start speaking this language, then a guided and a systematic approach is something which is required.
Yes.
Because one of my students, he learned he told the 6 months he has learned by himself, and he has learned so many things and all. So when I started teaching him, he's like, I have learned this word, but I never remembered it. But through the exercises what we do, or the conversation which we have in class, so I have started. I mean, it's like
So when you're a self-learner, it's very important to have the right kind of material, to get hold of the right kind of material. Right. If you just learn, like, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of good material available in the market. After all, Chinese is the largest, learned language in the world right now. I mean, the people also tout it as a second English of the world, right? So you really have, a wide range of, materials available. So what are you going to, learn through?
True.
So that I would suggest, at least for that, go to experts and, do what they've done. Do your research on online and see which is the best books available or the materials available. Do your research before you just start learning and wasting your time.
Yes. So because he told me that, I have learned so many fruits name, but I don't remember. So because I think many of the apps, they just have colors name, fruits name, like that.
Yeah, but these are very good for young learners. See, that's what I'm saying. When, for example, it's a toddler, right? They start learning, then you bilingually, you tell them 苹果 apple, 苹果 apple. These are fine. But after a point of time, what are you going to do just with apple? If you don't know how to say, I'm going to eat the apple. I ate an apple. I will eat an apple. How would you say that? 我吃了苹果, 我吃苹果, 我会吃苹果, right? So that's where the problem arises. You can't just learn nouns, vocabulary. You need to be able to, build up on the vocabulary and then learn the grammar, the structure. I always feel learning the structure is very important.
Yes, it's true. And that comes through, a systematic approach. Otherwise, it's very difficult.
Yes. The natural acquirement would happen if you have a good chance to be in China or be among Chinese. So that's a different cup of tea. That's absolutely different. At that point of time, whatever you learn, it's going to stay in your mind because you're going to hear it every day in, day out. But if you're in a foreign country, you're not in China, for example, you're in India, a place where you can't hear Chinese even for months together, right? In that kind of a situation, then I really suggest you do your, research well.
So, Lǎoshī, can you, because with your experience, you have taught so many students of all age groups and all, different professions and all. So, do you get the students which are like, though they are very enthusiastic to learn, but they're not able to pick up? So, how do we handle, that?
See, I would just say that, the interest level. See, we can only push so much, right? But apart from that, if they really can't get it, then we should make it like, the goals should be lessened, right? You should not give them too much. We should just ask, you should understand your student as a teacher and then give them that kind of, expectation and then realization of your expectations. So that's very important. Yeah. So if a person, it's not easy for, especially I would say tones, right? See, we can only try so much. After 10 classes, if the child still says ni hao instead of ni hao, then we can't keep correcting, or it becomes like, disinterested. Like whatever I do, it is not good enough.
Right.
So at those point of times, we change our tactic and then we try, for example, in a whole sentence, whatever we are talking. For example, if you're talking about an apple, right? You may go wrong with the other words, but I need to make sure that ping guo is said correctly.
Right.
So that's something that we can try and So
Yeah.
most of the students only find it difficult because of the tones. It's nothing else.
Right.
Mostly out of all my students, it's the tones that have really literally killed them.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Lāoshī, actually you can also share some interesting anecdote from your side. Some people call and they say, I want a crash course of 1 month. And I want to speak with my manufacturer. I said, I'm really sorry. I don't entertain such inquiries because it's not possible.
Yeah.
And,
it's really funny.
How can you have a crash course of a language? I mean, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
So I really get, how to explain them, and they don't understand also.
You have to first walk to be able to run, right? As simple as that. Yeah.
Right.
And there is no, easy way out, whether it's going to be, I always say, the battle of the bulges, or whether learning Chinese, it's all the same. You need to really, put in hard work, at least like 6 months. Give yourself 6 months. 1 month, no possible. Very difficult.
And you know what? There are also other idea of there is, I don't want to learn basic. They say, I don't want to learn basic because
really?
They say I don't want the normal daily stuff, but I want to speak with my vendors. But I give them like, how can you speak with a vendor? Because if you want to say, if you're dealing with the computers, let's say, you're going to ask them how much is the price of computer, or do you have computers? Do you sell computers? So the computer may be a very technical word, but how you are going to say, do you sell computer? You is a very basic word which you have to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
But then, okay, some people understand, yes, okay, they start, but some people like, okay, no, it's going to take much time, so they don't.
Yeah. And that too, Chinese, come on, with tonal language. If it was any other language, right?
Yeah.
Which, like, I know there are many languages that sound similar to, let's just say that Spanish or an English. At least we know how to read, right? And then you can just maybe mug up a few words and then get by with it. But Chinese is absolutely different because it's stolen and all the pronunciations are different. So it's really going to be difficult.
Yeah. So it's not possible. You can't think that, okay, because my goal is only to speak for a business, so I don't learn basic. So that's not possible at all.
Yeah, it is possible if they're going to go and stay in China for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Then maybe, it'll be possible because they're not going to talk any other language. If you go to a village in China and stay there and you're only bombarded with Chinese all around you, maybe, and if you're good enough, if you have the language ability, even then you will have to process what they're saying and you will have to remember and, speak back. So nothing comes easy. Yeah.
Yes, right. So do you have any interesting anecdotes to share, Lāoshī?
Well, at least like I have never had people having like things like what you have faced. Maybe because most of my students are literally who've been living in China or know the Chinese in and out, and they know how difficult it is already. So it's kind of that way it's easy for me. It's been easy for me. Students don't have unrealistic expectations. So they know. We already know that Chinese is very difficult, and they face the difficulties, and then they still come to me. I have students who've been living in China for 10 years, 12 years, who are still not able to crack the language.
Yeah.
Because you see, if, like I said, basics should be learned from an Indian if you're an Indian. Yeah. Or anybody who knows to, who navigate through the difficulties like what you're undergoing.
Right. Yeah. So I think another advantage of learning from an Indian per se is because it's not only that we speak common language English, but Mandarin is also very much related to our regional languages, right? So many of the regional languages which we can relate, and sometimes it becomes easy to give that example of the sentences from language than English, because I believe English is a language which is actually opposite than all other languages.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
But since we are so much used to English, we always try to translate from English to Mandarin.
Yes. Yes.
And then when you give the link to regional language, they can relate it, and then they can
Right.
make the sentence more
Right.
correct.
Yeah, that's what I do. Like if I have like kids who speak Hindi, I'll teach the structure in Hindi and Tamil to Tamil people. So that's very easy for them to learn through their own mother tongue, because the grammar and everything is actually surprisingly very closer to Chinese than English or any other European language. Yeah.
Right. So Lǎoshī, how many languages you can speak?
Well, fluently maybe 4, but I have like a smattering of many languages, around 10 languages. Yes.
Wow. So what are those 4 languages which you can speak fluently?
Fluently, yes, my mother tongue Tamil, English, Hindi, Chinese, Mandarin. Yeah.
And also Korean, you are saying that you are.
Yes, Korean I'm good. I mean, I can teach the basics in Korean and Spanish. Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So Lǎoshī, now if someone who is want to learn this language, or thinking of learning this language, so what are your tips for them, or your advice to them to start learning this language?
Okay, so first of all, do not have any unrealistic expectations. Don't get intimidated by just reading too much about Chinese, thinking that, oh, this is the toughest language in the world. No, I would suggest, if you just want to start learning, keep your mind open, right? Chinese is a tonal language. The most difficult part is going to be how you crack the tones. So you have to practice a little bit every day, 10 minutes, right? And then it doesn't matter if you don't know the characters, but down the line, if you're really interested and you fall in love with the language like me and Sonia, we did, then yes, you're more than welcome to be able to learn. It's not like when we started learning Chinese, we didn't have all these wonderful apps, how to learn to read and write and, listen. And now everything is at your fingertips. Yeah. So we help you with it. And give yourself, like I said, if you want it in hours, give yourself 30 hours of basics with us, and the rest we'll make sure that we help you out. Chinese is very rewarding. It's not just about learning a new language. It opens new horizons for you. If you're a young person, employment-wise, you're going to really, thank yourself for taking up this challenge of learning Chinese Mandarin. Right. Yes, so very good luck to all the learners. I really feel that, Chinese is wonderfully rich and, old, culturally rich, amazing language. And you would find that, the people of China are also very warm when you start speaking their language. You just have to go one step and they'll come 10 steps to you. So it's going to be a very rewarding experience, I'm sure. Right. Yes, definitely. I have seen in my experience, the demand for this language has increased. I think, till few last years, China was more into manufacturing and all. We used to consider China as a manufacturing hub, but now they are into technology so much. They are into research so much. I am getting, so nowadays many students, they are going to China for their biopharmaceutical research and all. I've had many PhD students working in China who've learned Chinese from me, and I really fondly remember all those people. Right. Yeah, so it's really good for you, for any whether it's automobile, it's any industry that you talk about, or business wise, it's booming, and you will be really having a big advantage over others who can't speak the language. So all the very best, 加油，祝你们大家成功。谢谢老师。老师，非常感谢今天you provided a very incredible insights to into this language, and I hope that we have more such sessions. Maybe based on the different topics, we will ask our viewers what they want to hear about or what they want to know about. So thank you once again, Lǎoshī. Yes, and so to our viewers, if you liked today's session or if you have learned something new, so please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. And do let us know what is the biggest challenge you are facing in learning Mandarin, and if there are any particular topic which you would like to cover us. So until then, keep practicing, keep improving. 再见. Thank you. 再见.